Camille was standing in the kitchen, her hands still wet from washing dishes, when Marcus walked in. His voice was cold. "You need to pack your things," he said without looking at her. "My parents think it's best if Tessa moves in now." Camille froze. Her heart dropped. She looked at him, hoping it was some kind of horrible joke, but his face was serious blank.
No regret, no shame.
She stared at him, her fingers trembling above the sink. "We talked about this," she whispered, barely able to speak. "I thought we were fixing things." Marcus didn't answer. Camille heard soft footsteps behind her. She turned her head slightly and saw Denise, her mother-in-law, standing at the doorway. Her arms were crossed, and a cruel smile was on her lips. And right behind Denise was Tessa. Tessa, the woman Marcus used to date before he married Camille. The one his family always loved. The one they always compared Camille to. Tessa stood there holding a suitcase, like she was already home. Camille looked at them. Denise's smirk. Tessa's smug silence. Marcus's coldness. It hit her all at once. They had planned this. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't emotional. It was decided, done, and delivered like a business deal. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just wiped her hands on her shirt, turned away, and walked to her room. No one stopped her. No one spoke. She packed her bag slowly, quietly. Her wedding photo was still on the dresser. She didn't take it. She didn't take anything that reminded her of them. As she walked out of the house she once called home, not a single person said goodbye. Felt like death, only worse. Because she was alive, and they had chosen to treat her like she was nothing. Thrown out like trash. Just so they could make room for their perfect woman. A quiet, soft-spoken woman who came from modest beginnings. Camille never asked for much. She believed in love, in kindness, and in building a simple, happy life. She met Marcus in college. He was everything she wasn't. Confident, charming, ambitious. He came from a wealthy family, used to fancy dinners, important people, and high expectations. Still, he noticed her. At first, he made her feel special. He said he liked how calm she was, how real she seemed. They dated for 2 years before he proposed. Camille thought she had found her forever. But things changed after the wedding. From the beginning, Marcus's family looked down on her. Especially his mother, Denise. She would smile to Camille's face but always make little comments behind her back, or even in front of her when no one was around to hear. She doesn't know how to dress for events. She speaks so softly, people can't even hear her. She should learn how to act like a politician's wife. Camille tried. She really did. She changed the way she dressed. She took etiquette lessons. She stood at Marcus's side at every fundraiser, every party, every campaign meeting. She smiled when people ignored her. She smiled when they pretended she wasn't there. But inside it hurt. And the pain grew slowly, like a wound that never healed. She worked hard to be the wife Marcus needed. She cleaned their home, cooked his favorite meals, helped him rehearse speeches, even typed out his notes late at night. She did everything, quietly, without asking for praise. They tried to have a baby. Twice, Camille got pregnant. And twice, she lost the baby before the 2nd trimester. The heartbreak crushed her. She blamed herself. But Denise blamed her too loudly. "She can't even give us a child," she once whispered to someone at a family dinner, thinking Camille wouldn't hear. Marcus didn't defend her. He said nothing. He always said nothing when it came to his family. Things became worse when Tessa came back into town. Marcus's ex-girlfriend from college. Tessa was everything Denise wanted in a daughter-in-law. Confident, stylish, rich. She knew which wine to serve, which fork to use, and how to impress every guest. Denise invited her to every family event. At first, Camille thought it was harmless. But then she started noticing the way Marcus looked at her. The way he laughed with her. The way he became cold toward Camille. Eventually the love faded. Or maybe it was never really there to begin with. Now Camille has nothing. No husband. No home. No money. After Marcus kicked her out, she went to stay with her friend Yara. The only person who didn't treat her like she was invisible. She sleeps in Yara's guest room, curled up with a blanket and a pillow that still smells like someone else's perfume. Her bank account is almost empty. Her eyes are tired from crying. Her heart feels numb. She keeps asking herself the same question every night before she sleeps. Was I ever enough for them? But deep down, a small voice inside her is beginning to wake up. A voice that no longer wants to cry, no longer wants to beg. A voice that's starting to whisper something new. They were never enough for you. Camille watches from the street as Tessa steps out of a car, holding flowers and laughing. She walks right up the stairs to the condo. The same home Camille once cleaned every day. The same place she cried and prayed and tried to build a future. Now it belongs to someone else. Through the window, Camille sees Denise open the door and pull Tessa into a hug. They smile like it's a celebration. Like they've won. Tessa walks in without hesitation, already acting like she lives there. Camille doesn't move. She stands on the sidewalk with a small bag in her hand, dressed in the same clothes she wore when she left. She looks up at the condo and realizes she has truly been replaced. Not just as Marcus's wife, but as a person, as a part of their lives, as if she never mattered. The next day, Camille meets a lawyer. She doesn't have much money, but her friend Yara helped her book a free consultation. The lawyer listens carefully, then frowns. "There's something strange here," he says, pointing at some paperwork. "The condo, the one you and your husband bought together, it's no longer in your names." Camille leans forward. "What do you mean?" He turns the screen toward her. "Your husband signed the condo over to his parents 2 weeks ago. That means legally you don't own any part of it anymore." Camille feels her heart stop. 2 weeks ago. That was before Marcus asked her to leave. Before he acted like things had just fallen apart. He planned this. He took her name off the home before even telling her to go. The betrayal sinks in deeper. But it's not loud. It's quiet, cold, like ice inside her chest. Later that week, Camille hears from an old neighbor that there's going to be a private dinner at the condo. She finds the invite posted online. It's not just a welcome dinner. It's a baby celebration. Tessa is pregnant. Denise is hosting a beautiful dinner for her. Flowers, candles, champagne. She's calling it a new chapter for the family. Camille sits on the edge of Yara's couch, staring at the invite on her phone. It feels like someone ripped out her soul and replaced it with silence. They're celebrating, while she's left with nothing. No baby. No home. No family. Not even a seat at the table. She puts the phone down and walks to the window. Rain taps softly against the glass. In that moment, something inside her changes. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. But her eyes are sharper now. Her mind clear. This wasn't just bad luck. It was a plan. And she was the target. They took everything from her. Her place, her voice, her name. And now, they think she'll just disappear quietly. But Camille isn't the same woman she was a few weeks ago. She's done being the quiet wife who waits to be seen. Now she's watching, listening, learning. She doesn't want revenge made of loud anger. She wants justice, slow, careful, and sharp. For the first time in weeks, Camille breathes in deeply. She's not broken. She's awake. Camille takes a job at a small law firm as a receptionist. It's not fancy, and the pay is just enough to cover food and rent for the room she's renting from her friend Yara. But it gives her something she didn't have before: information. She shows up every morning on time, dressed neatly, speaking politely. First, no one really talks to her much. But over time, a kind paralegal named Naomi starts eating lunch with her. One afternoon, Camille shares a little of her story. Not everything, just enough. Naomi listens closely. "You said he transferred the condo into his parents' name right before asking you to leave?" she asks. Camille nods. Naomi leans in. "That's not just cruel. It might be illegal." That sentence opens a door in Camille's mind. During quiet hours at the front desk, Naomi begins explaining things to Camille about property laws, spousal support, hidden assets, and how to protect herself without starting a public war. Camille starts taking notes. She reads legal guides. She watches videos online. She asks careful questions. Slowly, piece by piece, she begins to understand the system that tried to silence her. She learns that even though her name was removed from the condo, she might still have a legal claim. She learns how to file for spousal support, not out of revenge, but because she has a right to it after everything she gave up. And then she makes her first quiet move. She files for support. No press.
No noise.
Just paperwork sent through the proper channels. The law firm helps her connect with a private investigator. Someone quiet, discreet, and very good at finding things people try to hide. Camille gives him Marcus's campaign details, bank info, and a few names she remembers from late-night phone calls. While she works during the day, the investigator digs deeper. Camille starts having flashbacks more often now, little moments that hurt more than she allowed herself to admit before. She remembers the dinner party where Denise forgot to put out a place setting for her. She remembers Tessa sending messages to Marcus late at night, and Marcus saying, "She's just being friendly. Don't be insecure." She remembers how every time she cried after losing a pregnancy, Marcus would say, "It's not the end of the world," and then leave the room. Back then, she stayed quiet to keep the peace. Now she writes everything down: dates, names, moments. Nothing is too small. At night, alone in her small room, Camille stares at the wall and breathes slowly. Her parents are gone. She has no siblings, no children, no one depending on her. And somehow that gives her a strange kind of power. She has nothing to lose. And in that emptiness, she begins to rebuild herself, carefully, quietly. She buys a new notebook and writes one sentence on the first page. "I let them win. But not anymore." Meanwhile, whispers begin to spread. A man from the election commission shows up at Marcus's campaign office asking questions. A financial audit is requested for one of Denise's charities. Tessa starts looking nervous at events, her smile tighter than before. Camille says nothing. She doesn't post online. She doesn't talk to reporters. She doesn't argue with anyone. But her silence is loud, and it's starting to shake them. Denise tries to ask around. "Has Camille been saying anything?" she asks an old family friend. But no one knows anything. Because Camille is invisible again, just the way they liked it. Only this time it's her choice. Only this time she's moving in the shadows, and they don't even see her coming. Denise throws a big fancy engagement party for Marcus and Tessa. The hall is decorated with flowers, lights, and golden name cards on every table. Everyone important is there: politicians, business people, friends, and family. Over 80 guests. All of them smiling and clapping for the happy couple. Camille, of course, is not invited. She was never supposed to be part of this new chapter. In their minds, she was already forgotten. But as the music plays and Denise stands to give her welcome speech, the doors open. Camille walks in. She is calm. Her back is straight, her head high. She wears a simple but elegant dress, one that fits her like it was made just for this moment. In her hand is a folder, thick with papers. The room goes quiet. Some guests whisper. Others stare. Marcus freezes when he sees her. Tessa's smile drops. Denise narrows her eyes. Camille steps forward slowly, like she has all the time in the world. "I won't take long," she says, her voice steady and clear. "I just came to return what doesn't belong to me, and to take what does." She places the folder on the table beside the cake. Then she begins. "To those who don't know me, I'm Camille, Marcus's wife. Still legally his wife, by the way." Gasps echo around the room. Denise steps forward. "You're not welcome here." Camille holds up her hand. "I wasn't welcome in your family either. But here we are." She opens the folder and pulls out the first document. "This is proof that Marcus transferred the condo into his parents' name without my knowledge. That's fraud." She turns to the second document. "This shows bank transfers from Marcus's campaign account to a fake foundation, one managed by Denise. That's illegal." Murmurs grow louder. Guests are whispering, pulling out their phones. "And finally," she says, looking directly at Tessa, "this is a medical record from the private clinic you visited last month. The baby you're carrying, it isn't Marcus's." The room falls into stunned silence. Tessa turns pale. Marcus's mouth opens, but no words come out. Denise looks like she's going to faint. And then it happens. Denise turns to Tessa and slaps her across the face. "Hard. You promised me." Denise hisses. Marcus tries to grab Camille's arm, his face red with anger. But Camille steps back, firm and unshaken. "You took everything from me," she says, her eyes meeting his. "Now I'm just taking it back." She calmly picks up the rest of the papers and hands them to a man in a dark suit waiting near the door. Her lawyer. "Legal action has already started. You'll all be hearing from the court soon," she says. Camille turns and walks out of the hall, her steps slow and graceful. Behind her, the party is falling apart. Guests leaving, reporters calling, cameras flashing. But Camille doesn't look back. Because this time, she's not the one being thrown out. This time she ended it on her terms. Camille gets half of all the marital assets, plus alimony. The court rules in her favor. Everything Marcus tried to hide is brought into the light. The condo, the campaign fraud, the fake foundation. Marcus is now under federal investigation. His political dreams are finished. People who once smiled at him now avoid him. Tessa quietly leaves town. After the truth about the baby comes out, the engagement is cancelled. No more parties. No more praise. No more pretending. And Denise, once the queen of their social circle, is now the center of gossip and scandal. People whisper about her in charity events, and invitations stop coming. Her reputation is ruined. The perfect image she worked so hard to build is gone. But Camille doesn't care about any of that. She's not watching them fall. She's busy rising. She uses the money from the settlement to rent a small but bright office space. She opens a legal consulting service for women going through divorce, especially women like her, who were ignored, disrespected, or tricked. She calls it Second Voice. At first, only a few women come in. But word spreads. People talk. Women begin to reach out, asking for help. Camille listens to every story, offering advice, connecting them with the right lawyers, and most of all, reminding them they are not alone. She doesn't wear sadness anymore. She wears purpose. The pain she once carried becomes her strength. She still lives in a simple apartment, still drinks tea alone some mornings, but she is not broken. She is whole, built from the pieces she thought were lost. She's not trying to prove anything now. Not to Marcus, not to Denise, not to anyone. She's simply being herself. And for the first time in a long time, that's enough. She sits in the now empty condo, the same place where she once cried herself to sleep, where she felt like a ghost in her own home. But now it's quiet in a different way. Peaceful. Rain taps gently on the windows. The rooms are empty but not lonely. They are clean, calm, hers. Camille walks to the small table near the window and lights a candle. The soft glow fills the space. She opens a drawer and pulls out a folded piece of paper. It's a letter. One she wrote to herself months ago, during her darkest days, when she had nothing and no one. Her hands shake a little as she opens it. She reads slowly. You will survive this. Even when it feels impossible. Even when the silence is loud and the pain is sharp. One day you will breathe without crying. You will stand without shaking. And you will no longer need to prove your worth to people who threw you away. A tear rolls down her cheek, but it's not from sadness. It's from relief, from healing. She folds the letter and places it back in the drawer. Then she looks around the condo, her condo, and smiles. I didn't lose them, she says softly to herself. I lost people who never saw me to begin with. And for the first time in a long time she feels free. Hey besties. Two Hearts, thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. See you next time, bye. Waving hand sparkles.